Okay, so the frame is repainted flat black. Go ahead and take the tape off of here. I'll show you what it looks like. Kind of funny looking, but it should come out just fine. I'm not going to touch it with my fingers because my fingers are dirty, but here is the box. It's been prepped, primered, and painted flat white, so it's ready to go. I've got the mirror set ready to go, and I'm going to take the wheels and tires off this Bush van and swap them around. So I've got those ready to go, and the next piece to this little Isuzu box van puzzle is actually probably going to be the hardest part of this whole build. The cab and the interior and the details, the windows and all that, are going to be separate from the box. So the first thing I want to do is get the cab and interior and all that stuff done and get it all together. So, and then I'll come back to the cab later and put the mirrors on very last. But the next part that I have to do that's going to be hard is putting the Isuzu word on the black in the front and painting the grille work. I got to get rid of the Mitsubishi emblem and the writing on the front. That part will be kind of easy, but the hard part will be getting the Isuzu word on there because it is such a small piece. If you know the size of an X-Acto knife number 11 blade, there is the black area on the front of the cab. It's very, very small. And in order to get the Isuzu word on there, which originally it's silver, and it's kind of an odd shaped word. I don't have silver decals. I'm going to use white and it should be okay. But I do have some decals that I think I'll be able to use. And go ahead and dig them out real quick. This is not the one I'm going to use, but it's the same exact sheet. This is from Smokebox Graphics. This is how they come. This is what the back looks like. That's the part number, or the order number. Part number. And there's little teeny tiny white letters on there, as big as the black ones. In retrospect, to give an idea of what the size of those letters are, here is a painted Praiser figure next to the letters. So yeah, they are very, very small. You could fit a W on this guy's face and still have room left over. So they're very small. They're kind of hard to work with. If you're going to do this at home, make sure you just keep the decal wet until you're ready to put it in place for its final time. If you keep the decal wet, I use the tip of my X-Acto knife blade, and I can just finagle the letter around until it gets to the right spot, and then I use a clean cotton rag, and then I just go straight down on the model like this, you know, to get all the water off. I just go straight down, and then I come straight up. If the letter comes off with it, you got to find it and try and put it back on there, but usually it don't. So yeah, that is going to be pretty tough. I'm going to end this video here because I have things I need to wait for to dry and whatnot, and I'll be back shortly. See ya. Okay, so here we are back with the Isuzu box van build. In this part of the video, I'm going to do some decals on the van, on the front. I'm going to go ahead and do the grill work as well, and try to get the Mitsubishi logo off of there. So I think I'll work on that first. I'm going to actually try to scrape it off first, see if that works. Now all I'm doing is hand painting this. I'll make sure to do it on camera so you can see. The cool part about having the video camera is I can actually zoom in really good with it and see if any of my work looks really bad. Now, if you are following me at home trying to do this project, then I will show you exactly what I'm doing. I just painted a line across the top and a line through the middle, and I'm going to paint a little bit on the bottom. And then I'll go through and straighten the lines so that they're not crooked or anything. Okay, so there's how the painted front end is going to look. I'm going to actually straighten up the lines a little bit, but that's basically how the front grill work is going to look. I'll go ahead and clean off my brush real quick. I've got my trusty water plate. It's an old Corel plate that my wife and I got when we first got married 20 years ago. So it's an old plate, but it's kind of a deep saucer, so it can hold good water in it. And it's got these ribs on it, which I like for taking the decals out with. Make sure that this is clean. Make sure not to rub it with the side of the paint on it. Clean it off. Then I always keep a really clean dishcloth with me. I bought this specifically for decals. I keep that with me. I'll try to back this up so you can see the whole process. Might be a little easier for you. Don't mind the clutter on the desk. I know, it's terrible. And then I get some clean bottled water. It's at room temperature. It's been sitting out here in the shop for a while. So it's not, it hasn't been refrigerated. Pour some water on the plate. And what I do, you don't have to do it, but I do it. I use distilled white vinegar. I only have a little bit left. And just pour a little bit into the cap. And what the distilled white vinegar does is it actually helps the decal bond to the model. And to get that on there, I have a specific brush that I use only for the for that purpose of the vinegar. So what I'll do now is I'll cut the I'll go ahead and cut away, turn the video off, cut these out, get them ready, and then I'll show you how I put them in the water and then put them on the model. A lot of people seem to be real enthused and excited about seeing decals being placed. So I'll go ahead and show it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go. The little tiny decals are cut out. They're sitting all over the table. I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife. I'll show you how and why. Now, I'm going to do something rather unconventional. As a matter of fact, it's probably not been done very often at all. I'm going to intentionally put a decal on backwards and upside down so that the sticky part of the decal is actually facing out away from the model and not on the model surface. I'm hoping that I can keep it on there until I spray the decal bonder spray on and then put a clear coat over the top, kind of gluing it on and sealing it in before it can fall off. If I keep it wet, I shouldn't have a problem. The clear flat coat that I'm going to use, I'm not going to use the testers. This still leaves it slightly shiny, and it's not exactly thin or thick enough to seal this backwards upside down decal on. Okay, Kat. If you take a look at the Isuzu logo, you'll see that the first, well, the S is kind of like a Z shape, but it's backwards, of course. It's got the square shape to the S. Well, I don't believe anyone makes that, so I'm going to use a Z, and then I'm going to flip it around backwards and upside down to make it look like a square-shaped S. Now, if there's any decal manufacturers out there and you're watching this video, logos, truck logos, would be a hot ticket item. There's a lot of vehicle modelers out there who are into the vehicles like I am, and that would be a hot seller. Okay, so first I put a little bit of distilled white vinegar on the front of the truck, on the black part where the decals are going to go. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but this is a test for both of us. So, yeah, let's find out ourselves. So I got my rag. All I do is take a little bit of water off of my finger so when I place it on the model, it's not swimming in water. And I got it on there. All I got to do is straighten it. That's where I use my X-Acto knife. Now, as long as I keep this wet, I can maneuver the letters around until everything works just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the S and do it last and just leave a gap to put it in there, and I'll stick it on with the X-Acto knife. So next comes a U. Go ahead and put that in the water. I really like to have the letters facing up so I can see them, rather than having the back side of the decal facing up. I like to see the letter so when I pull it out, it's straight and on my finger, and then I can just apply it. So when I put this one on, I'll put a gap in between the I and the U, so that way I can place the funky S later and not have to handle it so much and have the chance that it's going to fall off. I've had decals that take a long time to soak in, you know, get wet and come off the decal paper. Smokebox seems to have their decals pretty fresh. Decals can get old and stale, and I've run into that with other manufacturers in the past. Mainly micro scale, because they make a lot of decals at such a rapid rate that a lot of decals will sit on the shelves either at the store or at hobby shops, and they can actually go stale, resulting in people being pretty upset when the decal doesn't adhere properly or breaks up. And I think all of us that have had decals break up, it's very frustrating to have that happen. And it costs you money as a modeler. You already might be a little upset that you have to spend between $7 and $10 on a set of decals, and then the most important part of the decals break, and you got to spend more money on it. Okay, so I got the I and the U on. Here comes the first Z, and then I'll put the other U on, and then I'll do the backward Z last. Go ahead and give you a shot at what it looks like. You can see the IU. Oh, my battery's dead, so I'm gonna have to cut it for now.